relatively spirited performance after a less than ideal start?
Yeah, look, first half was quite poor. We were really leggy in the warm-up. We couldn't really get going, and one of my assistants, Chris Coyne, flagged it with me. We really needed to try and give him a bit of a rev up, which we did. But physically, I think the short turnarounds in those games leading into it probably took its toll a little bit, and we kind of knew that would happen. And but we wanted to keep some players fresh, because late in the game, obviously, when they fatigue away from home, we need to have something up our sleeve. So, in some ways, the plan second half worked really well, but we didn't want to start that passive and that much on the back foot. So, look, a game of two halves. In the end, we're happy with the point.
What went through your mind when the lights went out?
This is A-League football. That was the first thing I thought of. I think I've seen everything. I've been in the A-League since the first season, so I've seen everything good, both good and bad. And I think that was on show again tonight. I think you saw a Sydney FC team with some real quality in their attack, and then you saw a really spirited Perth team that stuck to a process and played some really good football in the second half, under fatigue. And you just saw the good, the bad and the ugly tonight as a football game. But we just move on now.
Did you sense after half-time that there was an opportunity to maybe catch them napping a little bit to respond so quickly there in the first minute?
In our dressing room, when I went in there, I could barely get a word in to start with, which is always a good sign. The belief in the group and the mentality in the group, and the resilience in the group is very strong. And we knew that our first half was well below the level that we've set for ourselves or that we strive towards. And it was there were two options really. One is to change structures, change formation, go away from what we've been doing and try and match Sydney. And the other option is to stay exactly the same and do it better. And the players were very easily led down the path of a reaction. So I'm very proud of the character that they showed in the second half.
How hard was it to play against that Sydney low block in the first half where they were just packing men behind the ball as soon as they got their one-goal lead?
Yeah, that's what they do. They do that, and they do it well at times. The frustrating thing for us is they scored 2 goals from areas that we kind of knew, and we knew their threats. It's one thing to identify them and try and set up for them in a limited space of time. I mean, we didn't really train. It's mainly just recovery and video. So we identified, obviously both their wingers are strong on their strong foot and shots and from around the edge of the box, and obviously the Sydney FC, ball to the back stick for Ryan Grant. It's age old, but it works, and it's hard to stop when you're tired physically and mentally. And I think in that first half, it's one thing to know what they were going to do. It was a second thing to stop it. And then they defend in a low block, especially away from home, and they do it quite well. So we had to be patient and then stick to our process. And I thought in the end we were good for a point, if not could have taken all 3.
In terms of half-time subs, David Williams, Zach Duncan both score. Must be pretty happy to see 2 subs come off the bench, and in terms of Zach immediately make an impact, and then David Williams just throwing his body at the ball at the end to get you guys a point.
Yeah, happy for both of them. It's a real testament to the group. If I'm honest, it's a collective. We speak about that often, that it's going to take everybody, especially in that type of a scheduling and fixture list. So, the guys are really together and they all kind of know their roles. We're trying to make it very clear for them and work on different players in different positions and make sure they know their roles. And for them to come on and make an impact like that is exactly what the team needed. So, on one hand you could say they just did their job, and on the other hand, I'm really happy for those 2 especially.
You've finished this kind of 3 games in 8 days homestand. What are your immediate thoughts of, you've spoken a lot about how taxing it's been physically and mentally for the players. How happy are you to emerge unbeaten from it?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm very happy for the playing group. I'm very happy for the staff, and I'm very happy for the fans and members that have been coming out here and, being the extra man for us. And, we want to make this place a fortress. We want to be, very difficult for teams when they do come here. We want to take the initiative in the game. I think, if you look at the game as a whole, we've had a lot more of the ball. We've probably had equal amount of chances in the end. We want to impose the way we play on teams and make them have to defend for long periods. So we didn't do it well in the first half. We did it well in the second half. I wouldn't say I'm happy with tonight, because I want us to win, and I expect us to try and win at home, and we need to play better than we did for longer periods. But on the other hand, you know, like I said, the character and the resilience in the group's huge, and you know, 7 points out of those 9 is a decent effort.
Just on the power outage again, do you just chalk it up as a one-off sort of thing, or I mean, you've got more games here next month? Is it sort of a concern that it's happening at the ground?
I've played at other grounds at professional level where the lights have gone off, so no, it's not really a concern at all. It happens sometimes. The good element is tonight that it didn't ruin the game, that the game finished, and they were able to rectify that. And I'm sure there's a lot of people here at Macedonia Park that have, you know, worked really hard to get this venue up to scratch, and for them to rectify that problem that quickly is actually quite good. So, look, we just move on, mate, on to the next.
Substitute play well, and what is your strategy when you change the players?
Well, the strategy in that one was simple. Obviously, we had a plan for the second half anyway. We were probably forced into those changes a little bit early. And then, like I said before, we have a lot of detail in the way we try and, you know, coach the team and different players in different positions, and so that if one's out, the other one can step in and know their role. And I thought young Jacob Dowse, he's only had limited minutes as a professional footballer, and he's a player who's had 3 knee reconstructions and, you know, hasn't given up the ghost. And for him to not only make the step up to professional level, but then to go and put on a performance like that off the bench against a very good Sydney team, it's just testament to the hard work that the players have been doing on the grass. And I thought all the subs, Zach, Dave, I thought young Joseph Ford, I thought Dowsey, I thought all of them really, really did well. Cheers, thanks guys.